What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswaves. Over the last couple of years in particular, we've been very used to games just being delayed due to remote work and everything that happened with the pandemic. Well, now it looks like Nintendo has decided to flip the script on us yesterday and just surprise everyone online, moving up one of their biggest games of 2022 couple of months, and we're going to go over that one here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a new report with Sega reviving some of their Dreamcast intellectual properties for these super games that we keep hearing about, and we're also going to be talking about a brand new Star Wars game that's been announced that already has quite a bit of history. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps that a ton. And if you're new here to the SpawnWave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're gonna start today with Xbox Game Pass games for the second half of April. We'll head over here to news.xbox.com. They have a nice little card at the top here. Before we start on the games though, they do mention in a section here about more Ubisoft games coming to Game Pass. That includes Assassin's Creed Origins coming to the service at some point, cloud, console, and PC. And then For Honor, Marching Fire Edition, that coming to PC through Ubisoft Connect app. Anyway, starting yesterday, we had F1 2021 through the cloud. That's EA Play. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered, cloud through EA Play. And then Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. That's cloud, console, and PC. Moving up to April 26th, we have 7 Days to Die. That's cloud, console, and PC. Research and Destroy, console, and PC. Moving to April 28th, we have Bug Snacks. That also includes the Isle of Big Snacks, cloud, console, and PC. And then we have Unsold, that's console and PC. There are also several games that have touch support enabled now, and that, of course, will let you play them on your cell phone. Probably a good one to check out would be Edge of Eternity. That's a slower-paced RPG, whereas might not work as well with something more action-oriented. And then leaving April 30th, we have Cricket 19, Outlast 2, Secret Neighbor, and then Streets of Rage 4. That's probably the one I would check out immediately if you have not yet. It is an awesome beat-em-up style game. But overall, I'd say the big title to check out here for the second half of April is Bug Snacks with that newest expansion. And a lot of you said in the comments before that I should go back to it. And you know what? I will give it a second chance. I already had claimed it on PlayStation Plus, so I'll be checking it out there. Also, we had a story go up yesterday with Nintendo being hit with a labor complaint. We can see this posted up over on Axios, where they say an unnamed worker is alleging that Nintendo and a firm it uses for hiring contractors violated their legally protected right to unionize, according to a new filing with the National Labor Relations Board. Now, the allegations state Nintendo of America and global hiring firm Aston Carter engaged in concerted activities and made coercive actions against a worker, interfering with their legally protected right to organize. Now, if you check out the claims on the website for just the entire filing, they're still very vague right now, and there isn't any documentation or anything that has been uploaded at this time. Seems like it's very early on, and that an investigation is now ongoing, and we should see updates around this going forward in the coming months. But really, this just comes back to, we've talked about, obviously, the very severe cases with Activision Blizzard, but these are all larger corporations with thousands of employees, so none of them are squeaky clean, even though there are many online who will try to hold up certain companies over others. And Nintendo, yeah, they have their own issues, as we are seeing here. So we'll see what happens as this case continues to progress with the investigation. Oh, and we did have a firmware update for the Nintendo Switch, that being 14.1.1. Oatmeal Dome did take a look through it. We can see this saying official patch note state stability as the sole change. The internal web browser was updated, possibly security fixes, and the bad word list was updated. Nintendo has a curated list of words that they will block if you try to input them into the Switch and all of this. And they have continued to update that as they've gone along. So I think some examples were actually posted up. One was like send nudes without the space or anything there. So Nintendo will continue to update that as we go along, but a pretty standard update here, nothing too fancy. Just go ahead and make sure you're updated to 14.1.1. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Now, this game was set to release sometime in September of 2022, but now it looks like Nintendo has decided to move it up a couple of months. They released this trailer here. It was about 3 minutes long, but at the end, it told us No, this game is coming out July 29th. This is not something that's very common in the gaming world at all, especially a game of this size for Nintendo. You might see it with smaller indie games where they decide to shift and move up a release date, but like this was going to be one of Nintendo's bigger releases for like the fall holiday time period. Instead, they're moving it up into the summertime. Now, for Xenoblade fans, this is great news because you don't have to wait as long, 2 months or so less than you originally anticipated to pick this game up. They also went over a special edition. Now, it's going to launch specifically on the My Nintendo store, and they say stay tuned for more info on when pre-orders will open, and it looks good as the nice big box there, the steel book, and of course the art book, which probably has some awesome pieces in there. And I'm going to do my best to keep you guys up to date on when this goes live, but most likely when it does, it's going to sell out in a couple of minutes. So they said just go ahead and follow Nintendo of America or whatever Nintendo account would be in your region and just kind of keep up to date on that one because it's going to be a free-for-all when that goes live, and it'll be exciting, of course, when the scalpers get it and it's like 3 times the amount on eBay. Now, the obvious question is, what caused Nintendo to move up this game into the summertime? Because originally, Splatoon 3 was supposed to be coming out in summer, and I guess it still could be, but something tells me this was moved maybe because Splatoon wouldn't be ready for the summertime. So really, if I had to guess, Splatoon would be coming out later on this year, fall holiday time period. I mean, that is a bigger release overall for Nintendo than Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Splatoon 3 is going to easily sell over 10 million copies, like no problem there. It's very, very popular in Japan and obviously other parts of the world there. But it's really cool to see this for Xenoblade fans because they showed off a lot in that trailer. So much so that I'm sure heavy Xenoblade fans are going to be stopping this trailer like frame by frame to examine all this stuff. Now I am a casual Xenoblade fan. I did spend like 130 hours or so in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I mostly enjoyed my time there. There were some tedious bits to it, specifically like the resource collecting. That was kind of annoying. And the resolution, especially in handheld mode, would drop so low that my characters wouldn't have faces anymore, so that was kind of odd. But looking at this trailer, there's a lot to like. I mean, they showed off the better visuals, definitely, than what we have with Chronicles 2, but then they showed off this interesting interlink system, and according to the press release, it allows different characters to like fuse together Dragon Ball style, and they create a new entity, and the strategy here with this new concept would play into the battle and exactly when you transform and how you combo that together with other characters you're controlling. As they mentioned, there will be 7 different characters in this game. But right now, in a gaming world where we're so used to games just being delayed consistently, this was a welcome surprise yesterday, and I'm gonna be picking up Xenoblade Chronicles 3 immediately. It's going to be tough because I don't know if I'll be able to get through Live Alive before Xenoblade Chronicles 3, so I have to kind of split my time there since it is really cool to see a game that never released outside of Japan find its way to the Switch in HD 2D format. But either way, certainly a good summer here for JRPG fans on the Switch. Next up, let's talk about Sega and this super game project or projects that they have been attempting to explain to people for a while now, at least since they mentioned it to investors, I think last year. I think we're just having to get to a point where they're able to show the games and kind of explain what they're getting at here. But it looks like they could be pulling from the Dreamcast era when it comes to intellectual properties to reboot for these super game projects. This coming from Bloomberg. They have kind of like this paywall thing set up where you have so many free articles. So I will also link to Eurogamer, who went over it as well, but we can see this posted up where they say Sega is creating big budget reboots of past hits Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio. It has been reported, this from Bloomberg, saying these projects are the first to come from Sega's mysterious super game initiative, and that 2 more, one a first-person shooter, are also in the works. Now they mentioned that these are still like 2 to 3 years out, despite being like over a year in development. And the idea is they want to turn these into live service games that can basically be like Sega's Fortnite. And I was trying to wrap my head around how they would do that with Crazy Taxi, unless they're going to make like their own Grand Theft Auto Online style with more emphasis on driving around and able to get your car and do other things. I mean, that could work, but that sounds extremely ambitious for Sega to tackle. Although, if it's already a year in development, and they're still 2 to 3 years out, I mean, it could be a 3 to 4 year dev time, it's possible that's something they go with there outside of just the basic crazy taxi they all know and love from the Dreamcast. Jet Set Radio is another one. Again, I'm trying to figure out how they're going to turn these in these big live service Fortnite revenue generating machines. I guess Jet Set Radio has like gear and stuff that they could sell and monetize through microtransactions. And I mean, this just seems to be the way that Sega is trending right now. And it makes sense if you're these big companies, these big corporations, and you see a Fortnite make so much money, Call of Duty Warzone bringing in a ton of recurring revenue from a consistent player base. If you can just get one of these live service games right, even if a bunch of them fail, I mean, you're going to be making money hand over fist. But I have to be honest, this isn't what I was expecting when I said, oh, Sega should bring back Jet Set Radio. Oh, they should bring back Crazy Taxi, because I wasn't expecting Sega to dive in the deep end of live service games or super games, which seems more and more like a marketing term that they have invented to avoid saying live service games. So I don't know, we'll see. It sounds like this is going to be years in the making, so maybe in like 2 or 3 years, we'll finally see how they're going to turn Crazy Taxi into this big live service spectacle. Next up, let's talk about Star Wars and a new game that has been announced here, and this is coming from Skydance New Media. That's Amy Hennig's studio, and this one is interesting because of some of the history behind all of this at EA. But we can see this posted up over on Eurogamer saying Uncharted creator Amy Hennig is returning to the Star Wars universe to work on a new, richly cinematic action-adventure game. All right, so you might remember this one. Amy Hennig was developing a Star Wars game that was going to be very cinematic action-adventure-esque, similar to what's being described here, but that was with Visceral. Remember, Visceral got shut down by EA, and apparently they just scrapped this Star Wars project that was codenamed Ragtag, and I think that was the one we saw brief glimpses of when they were talking about Visceral Studios, and they did some quick flashes of a person like kind of walking out, looking up to the sky. And now here we are, years later, Amy Hennig is in here creating, I guess, that game or a game similar to that with this cinematic action adventure. Apparently, she's also working with the studio for a new Marvel game that has not been named or anything yet. So it seems she's partnered pretty well now with Disney for Marvel and now Star Wars. And I feel like this is the result we were all kind of looking for when we heard that EA wasn't going to be the sole owner of Star Wars rights when making video games. We basically wanted Disney to branch out and see other studios what they could do, big and small. I mean, we know Ubisoft, they're working on a Star Wars game. We know Quantic Dream working on a Star Wars game. And we see now Amy Hennig be able to come back years later after having her original game kind of just squashed by EA and potentially remaking something similar to that. Again, sounds like a lot of these Star Wars projects are years off, and it makes sense to get them ready now and even announce them to get everyone kind of hyped up for it. So it seems like over the next 4 to 5 years, it's going to be a good time to be a Star Wars fan in video games. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Call of Duty Warzone. Now, I'll admit, I'm not really a big Call of Duty Warzone player at all, but it is kind of in that live service realm, obviously, with something like Halo Infinite that I will play a lot, and I'll look around at what other live services are doing, kind of as examples of what Halo Infinite should be doing. But there's something really interesting happening here with Call of Duty Warzone, it being like a set of teases, speculation, and rumors around Godzilla coming to the game. Take a look at this, as it looks like now it's becoming more and more of a confirmed thing. This posted up by Modern Warzone saying Call of Duty has just sent out an email containing this image teasing Season 3 of Warzone and Godzilla making his way to Caldera. The image is too large to fit in one photo. He looks to be making an entrance at the northern part of the map, and it is a very long image, I guess. And yeah, at the bottom you can kind of see Godzilla wading through the ocean there towards the land, and what an interesting idea. It sounds like, according to several rumors that dating back to months ago, that we could be seeing King Kong and Godzilla actually in the game, maybe having a large battle in the middle of just the war zone that's going on. And Fortnite's done this before with a large robot and creature that were fighting while you were trying to go through the battle royale phase of it. So that could be interesting to have Godzilla potentially just wiping people out, and maybe you could legitimately just hide and let King Kong and Godzilla fighting take out all of your opponents on the map. It sounds like it's going to be a spectacle to see, and that's if everything works out how has been described with rumors. But the fact that we are seeing key art, advertising, and even Godzilla's roar in a recent trailer, it seems like we're trending in that direction. And like I said, I'm not a big Warzone player at all, but when I see this stuff, it makes me interested in Warzone. So like, these are the weird and zany things I would like to see Halo Infinite try to do. Even like Call of Duty doing a crossover with Attack on Titan. It's like, what is this? But it's interesting, it's compelling. It's like the opposite of what Halo's been doing. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, are you picking up Xenoblade Chronicles 3? 28% said yes, picking it up ASAP. 22% said later, I'll wait for a sale. And then 51% said no, I'm not interested. It's basically 50-50 there for people picking it up versus not, and that's not bad for a JRPG. JRPGs typically will have a smaller install base when it comes to sales. That's why when you hear a JRPG getting to 1 million sold, that's actually really good. And now we see Xenoblade Chronicles continue to grow and grow and grow, and 3 is obviously, I think, gonna be the biggest launch for this series ever. So it's exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to picking it up, like I said, at the end of July. And even if you're someone who's not into the Xenoblade series or JRPGs, but you enjoy collecting games for the Switch, I mean, the collector's edition for these games, even the physical copies of the games, continue to go up in value. They don't print a ton of them, and obviously the special edition being so limited, might be good to pick up for collector's sake. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Derek saying, you would think that all these live service games failing would slow the industry down and give them pause about making more, but they seem to continue to double down. How many anthems is it going to take to break this fever? You know, it's hard to say, because when one fails, I feel like a lot of companies look at it and use that as an example as to what not to do, and then they think they can do it better. And then we see a Babylon's Fall comes out, and that fails. But then we see Sega, who's like, no, we can do this. We'll call it Super Game, we'll bring back some IPs, and we'll do it better. And I think it's gonna be an ongoing cycle for a long time, because most of these companies draw out profit and loss and all this stuff and projected income, and they've realized, if we make 10 of these things, and only 2 of them maybe succeed, we'll make money. So to them, it's like, let's just keep gambling on this and hoping that one hits. And I think we're gonna be seeing that for quite some time. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, whether it's Nintendo surprising everyone yesterday, moving Xenoblade Chronicles 3 up a couple of months. Are you picking it up day one? Let me know about that. And then also, what about Sega potentially bringing back Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi for these super games, which are basically live services? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.